today's lesson we are continuing our explorations of the CAGED system with regards to seventh chords, and this time we're looking at the dominant seventh. This is obviously the sound of the blues, so we're going to use a blues progression to memorize these shapes. Starting with just a brief overview of the theory of the dominant seventh, and then we're going to show you each of the 5 CAGED shapes, and then we're going to put them all together in a blues progression in the key of G. Handouts and the backing track I use in the lesson will be available to all members of my Patreon group. You can find out more about that with the link below. So if you didn't see the last lesson on the major seventh, I highly recommend you go and check that out because we're going to use the same approach here. So let's get stuck in and start with exactly what a dominant seventh chord is. It is a major triad, a root, third, and fifth. To that we add what is known as the minor seventh or the flat 7. Those are the notes of a dominant seventh. So the takeaway from that is that the minor seventh, the note being added in, is a whole step below the octave of the root note. Always 2 frets below, that's important. We're in the key of G for today's lesson, so the open position G major chord is that, then the G7 is this. So what has changed? We have a root note up on the top. The note we're adding in is that whole step below. Root, major 7, minor 7 or flat 7, add that in. Then we have the G7, okay? We're gonna apply that to each of the CAGED chord shapes. If we started in the open position with the G shape, the next 4 will be the E shape. Remember, it's always related to the word CAGED. The order of the shapes up the neck is the same as the order of the letters in the word CAGED. So G is followed by E. The major bar chord shape in the E shape was this. Now thinking about how we turn an E chord into a dominant seventh, we lift off the note on string number 4 to reveal the open string. That note on string 4 is the root note, and lifting it off is adding in a note a whole step below. So we've added in the flat 7, the F in the case of a G7 chord. So with the flat 7 being the note F, we could use the 4/2 octave and add that flat 7 onto string 2 to give us a grip like this. That's 1, or here. Another grip is to maybe omit the notes on strings 6 and 5 and just play this. As I do that though, I'm visualizing that. I'm seeing that, but only playing a part of it. So that's the E shape, but coming off, starting upon the flat 7. So those 3 shapes were all within the E shape though. G, E, D will be the next shape. The major bar chord looked like this. There's the octave root note. There's the flat 7, add it back in. G7 in the D shape. G, E, D. We're at the end of the word CAGED, so we loop back around into the C shape. That is the C octave. Around that, we can form the dominant seventh chord, like the open C chord. Take that up though into the 10th fret with the 3rd finger, and those are the notes of a G7 in the C shape. Root, 3, flat 7, root. With this particular shape, we're going to be muting string 6 and 1. So finger 1 is muted underneath the index finger, and string 6 I'm using my thumb over the top. This can get a little bit tight as you climb up the neck, as we'll see in a little bit. So there are a couple of variations to the C form. One would be to add in that major third, which we see in the major shape. So as we're coming off the 3rd of the chord, or we can do a similar setup but grab the 5th of the chord with the pinky finger in the 10th fret. That is a G7, but I still see that within this C shape. That is the visualization, the note on string 5. CA is the next shape. There is the octave. That's the major bar chord. How do we play an A7 in the open position? Lift off the note on string number 3. What have we done? Again, we have added in the flat 7. So that is the A shape of the dominant 7th, G7. After the A shape, we are back at G again, but we're going to be up the octave of the open strings, so we're going to have something like this. As we do this though, my reference is still the G note on string 6 of the 15th fret. Remember, from the major 7th, major 7, dominant 7th. Okay, so that is the dominant 7th grip in the G shape. Putting those all together then, beginning from the E shape, so it was E, D, C, A, and G. The best way to memorize these shapes is going to be with a blues progression, because we have the 1, 4, 5, but each of them will be dominant 7th chords. So in the key of G, this will give us the chords of G7, C7, and D7. Now, just then I used the same shape to play each of those chords, which is valid. You could do that. But the exercise here is going to have us playing through the blues progression in 5 different positions of the fretboard. And in each position, we are going to use 3 different shapes for each of the 3 chords in our blues. So in the first position, we're going to begin with the 1 chord in the E shape. We're going to have a quick 4 in our progression, so that means in measure 2 we go to the 4 chord. So the first 4 measures of our blues will be the 1 to 4, 1, 1. So our 4 chord here is going to be the C7 in the A shape. The second 4 measures, then we have 2 measures of the 4, and we go back to the 1. For 2 measures. Then we're going to have the 5 chord. Now the trick with the 4 and the 5 is they will always be, the bass notes will always be a whole step apart. So what you could do, what would be valid, is to use that same shape for the 4 and the 5. That said, this is primarily a visualization exercise. So as I mentioned, we're going to use a different shape for each of the 3 chords. So what other option do we have upon string 5? That would be the C shape. So we're going to use a C shape chord for our 5 chord here, D7. C7, 4 chord, and then back to the 1, and then 5 chord. So the last 4 measures will be 5 chord, 4, 1, 5. The 5 chord bringing us back round again for the 1 as we repeat the progression. So we'll do 1 round in that position, and then we're going to move up. So for each of those 3 chords, what we do as we move up is we move to the next shape. So the 1 chord began on the E shape. As we move up into the next position in the 5th fret, we're going to be in the D shape. The 4 chord started in the A shape. Now we're going to be in the G shape. And the 5 chord being in the C, we're now going to be in the A. And it's going to work like that every time. E, D, C, A, G on the 1 chord, and then we go up a shape in the CAGED system for each of the other chords. Now we'll break it down as we go through, but let's give it a go. Here we go. 1 chord, 4, in the A shape, back to the 1. 4 chord in the A, back to the 1 is E. 5 chord is the C, 4 chord A, 1 chord is E. 5 chord is C. Up to the 1 in the D shape. 4 is G. Back to the 1, it's D. 4 chord is G. Back to the 1 in the D. 5 chord will be A this time. 4 is G. 1 is D. Up to the C shape. 4 is E shape. Back to the C. E shape 4 chord. Back to the 1. G shape for the 5. E is the 4. C is the 1. And 5. Up to the A. Here we go. A shape. D is 4. Up to A. D shape 4 chord. Back to the A. E is 5. D is 4. And A. E. A little cramped up for the last round. Here we go. G is 1 and C. In that shape is the 4. G. And to the C. Back to the G. D is the 5. D shape. To the C. And the G. So there you are, that is the dominant 7th within the CAGED system. If you did enjoy that, please don't forget a thumbs up and do subscribe if you're new to the channel. Remembering as you do so to ring that bell. As I mentioned at the beginning, there will be chord charts, tabs, and the backing track available to all members of my Patreon group. You can help support my work over there for as little as $3 per month and get exclusive bonuses. Again, the link for that is down below. If you would like to find out more about the CAGED system, I have my ebook, CAGED Clarity, available for sale in my online shop. If you go and check that out with the link in the description, there's also there my free ebook, Fretboard Mastery, my guide to learning the notes of the fretboard in just a few days. Thank you very much, you practice well, and I'll see you again soon.